Hey, welcome to an Understand Health video. This is the place where you can come to get the holistic mentorship, support, education, and inspiration you need to thrive on your holistic journey. And today, we're going to give you a 4-step guide to help you overcome binge eating. And I'm here with Raina Lutz from Penticton, BC, and she specializes with this issue. So Raina, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you. I'm Raina Lutz. I'm the founder of Holistic Nutrition. I've had a private practice for 7 years, and I work in the Okanagan and online, specializing in helping women who know how to eat well but aren't doing it. So I give them the tools and motivation to actually do it.
Right. So for all of us to get on the same page, Raina, from your perspective, what is binge eating?
So binge eating is when people are overeating regularly, so more than they would normally eat in one setting.
And so, what's a mild case and what's an extreme case, so we can have, a bit of a gauge?
It would be if someone is doing this on a regular basis as a coping, maybe once or twice a week, that would be on the lower end. It's more extreme if someone is doing it daily.
So what motivates binge eating? What's behind it?
Well, what's behind binge eating is stress and emotions. One of the things that people don't really understand is that food is very, very emotional. Mm-hmm. We are animals, we are emotional beings, and so food is very complicated. And for most people, it's binge eating is a way of coping with stress that they're not dealing with. Right,
and this could be from early childhood, or it could just be from stressful situations. So people would be eating to get some temporary relief. Mm-hmm. Is that the best way to describe it?
Yes. So there's many different ways of us getting to this point. So having unresolved emotional issues, especially sadness, and I see a lot of people doing this with sugar. Right. When we have these imprinted ideas from us when we're in childhood that sugar will make you got sugar as a reward for being a good kid. So then as an adult, you're acting that out as in, if I have sugar now, it's a reward for myself, so I'll feel happy. Right. There's other things that will be imprinted into us when we're children, ideas from our parents or our grandparents, eating less so that you don't gain weight, or the opposite, you have to finish your plate, which is sort of a war era mindset of no waste. You have to finish your plate. That leads to people overeating a lot of times. So we have refrigerators now. You can store food for later. You can finish it later.
Definitely. So there's the emotional factor, eating to suppress emotions, and then there's also the mindset factor, things we've been taught. Mm-hmm. And just old habits of always wanting to, put a sucker in your mouth or get something sweet when you did something good, mm-hmm. which we all sort of grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's
normal. And that's the broad way to say it. I mean, obviously there's so many different reasons we would be stressed, or mm-hmm. so many different reasons we would be emotional, but that is the root cause.
Yeah.
And food is just so emotional in general. We eat when we're feeling good and we eat when we're feeling bad.
Right.
And it's just what we do when we have an emotional event like a wedding or a funeral or
mm-hmm.
anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And on holidays, people overeat.
Yeah.
It's a holiday. You're having big meals and then you're having desserts, and that's normal. That's common. But it becomes a problem when people are doing this, very often, or if they're doing it secretively, they're hiding and eating it.
Hiding it. Yeah. Totally. So now we know what binge eating is. Now we know what's behind it. It's purely emotional and a little bit with the mindset, the way we're thinking. And so how do we correct this? What are the steps? What would you say is how do you take someone from binge eating once or twice a week or every day to having a healthy relationship with food and never having to overeat to feel good?
Well, I have 4 steps that I take people through. The first one is I want them to get conscious of it, because a lot of times people will, they'll be wanting help with weight loss or specific issues, but they don't even know that their problem is actually binge eating until we get talking and they figure out, this is actually a problem. So getting conscious of the problem, recognizing that this is something that you're doing and actually identifying it within yourself, and paying attention to that and just getting really curious about it and asking more questions. Why am I doing this? Where is this coming from? So the first step is just recognizing it, really, and getting conscious of it.
And can that take a long time, or what does that look like to be able to start being conscious of kind of what's happening?
Could take a long time. It really just depends where people are at. If they know that this has been going on for a while and they're not ready to work on it, then it can take longer. If they're really aware of it and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, it's super frustrating and it's making me feel guilty, and it's causing more emotional storms, then it'll be faster, because they'll be ready to take that responsibility and actually start working on it.
Yeah, and then you're saying step 2, the deeper side of it, is recognizing the devil and the angel. Mm-hmm. That's the way you say it, anyways.
I like that terminology. So when in the cartoons, there's the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder, right? And they're always in a little fight. And so I like that descriptor to sort of show that we have the angel that's like, eat the salad's good for you, and the devil's like, no, you go for that poutine, right? And so most people will say, well, the devil, the little devil on your shoulder, he's there and he's going to tell you to eat certain things, or or drink certain things, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they'll say that you have to fight him. And that just doesn't work for me. I've never seen that working. What I see is getting conscious that he's there and getting curious as to why he's saying certain things, because you can't just squish him. You and me are both holistic nutritionists, and we don't eat perfect all the time. That's not realistic. So what's more realistic is just recognizing that you do have these two different parts, these push and pull, and finding that balance and that flexibility.
Okay, so we're doing pretty good. We've done the first 2 steps of becoming conscious just on a whole level, and then also identifying the positive and negative forces within us and learning how to navigate within them instead of trying to eliminate them, because it's just about getting comfortable with all that. And so, but what are some tools that can help make this easier for us?
So the best tools that I've used are ones that require an active take on them. They're things you actually have to do. The problem with tools is it's not just something that you can say, you have to actually act on it. Right. So I found that getting people to do a diet journal, and not a typical food journal that people are used to, where they're writing the portions and the calories or anything like that. It's more of your food and feelings. Right. So what did you eat and how did you feel? And even just a few days of this, when you look back, you can start making connections of, well, I ate that and it makes me feel this way, or I ate that, it makes me feel this way, and that starts to get you in tune with your body and what foods are actually working for you. And then meditation, yoga, those are 2 ways of really getting in touch with your body on a deeper level, and being able to tune in to how you're feeling. And those are really powerful.
Yeah, and so yoga at home, meditation at home, or in a group, does it matter?
I would say it doesn't matter, as long as people are doing it and putting in the time and the effort. And meditation doesn't have to be a big fancy thing. It can even just be 3 minutes a day, a guided meditation, just taking the time to actually do it, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Right. Yoga at home, absolutely. Going to classes makes it a little bit safer though, because you'll have an instructor there to watch you.
Definitely. And the things that I like that are along those lines is just taking 1 breath before I eat anything. Mm-hmm. And 2, for me, since meditation is a bit hard sometimes, when life gets so exciting and overwhelming, is just taking time without electronics in my pocket, and taking that 20 minutes of, I'm not even trying to do anything, I'm just literally trying to get away. So no electronics and nobody around me, just for at least once a day.
Yeah, some downtime.
Yeah, just some downtime. I find that really helps a lot. So those are our best tools. And I really want to emphasize at this point that as we're going through these steps, like on an external level, it's not going to look like much is happening. So when other people in your life, they're not going to really come along and pat you on the back and be like, wow, look at all this stuff you're doing. Look at all this progress you're making. I'm seeing so many results. It's more going to be happening on an internal level, where you're going to be like, whoa, like I'm actually becoming conscious now. I'm actually utilizing some of these tools. I'm getting in touch with my body. I'm learning about where things are coming from. And then, so once we're through these first 3 steps, what is step 4? Like, what is this actually going to look like kind of day to day?
I just want to add something to what you just said, is the internal landscape changing. That's what's so exciting about nutrition for me, is when you start making these changes and you notice it inside yourself. It's so amazing.
Right.
So the last step, balance Flexibility, what it actually looks like practically in your life would be, because you understand food better and how it works in your body, that you've been able to find balance. So what that looks like is, say you're out at a party and there's a cheese and wine platter, and you know from your past experience that cheese doesn't feel good for you, but you also know that in small amounts your body can handle it.
Yeah.
So instead of diving in and having a huge plate of cheese unconsciously and not thinking about it, you remember your past experience with it, and you consciously make the decision to just have a little bit and to really slow down and enjoy it mindfully. Our digestive system can handle it then, but also mentally we're not going to overdo it.
Right, so it's going to look like mindful eating, so having that one or two thought processes go through before you make a decision, so that you don't take it to the extreme.
Yeah, and that's what I try to help people find, is that balance and that flexibility. So the flexibility is there so that you don't feel angry at yourself because you don't get to have the cheese. You get to have it, but the flexibility is, I just have a little bit, I have just enough, but I'm not overdoing it, and I'm conscious of that as I go through the steps of choosing it.
Right.
And you always have the choice. You can say no.
Yeah. So how about chewing food? What do you?
So most people don't, right?
Yeah.
We just shovel it in. It's like one forkful after the next, and we're not thinking of it. And that's really, really common. And that's, people are really busy, and a lot of times we have work schedules that don't allow us to have a proper sit-down meal. We were taught to eat on the go, a lot of people will take their kids in the car, and you're having meals in the car and all of that, or drive through. So we're always going fast. And so being able to take that time to, as you said, take a breath before you have your meal, take a breath so that you get sort of tuned in. Okay, this is happening now. I want to get really present with this moment right now. And then as you slow down and do mindful eating, so you're sort of taking your meditation and yoga practice to the dinner table. And what that does is again, help your body process the food better, your digestive system. Also gets you more in tune with how this food is feeling, which, as we learned from the steps prior, is basically the key.
Yeah, totally. And then what about when we make food choices that aren't the best for us? How do we do that consciously?
So I know that a lot of people try to do the 80-20, right? So 80% I eat well, 20% I eat junk. I don't really like putting things in numbers that, because for me that is still breaking the balance and flexibility, because one day you might be 100 and then the next day be 50-50. So why say 80-20 and box yourself in that way? What was the actual question you asked me now? I went on a tangent, man.
Yeah, no, well, just so when we do that 20%, so what's that going to look like on an internal level? What are we going to be telling ourselves?
Right, so what can happen is, usually when people are dealing with binging, they'll eat the junk food and then they'll keep eating it, and then they'll feel really guilty about it. And so when you found that balance and flexibility in the last step, what's going to happen is you'll be able to have that 20%, that junk, but you're going to have it in small amounts, so you're not doing a lot of damage. Your digestive system's going to be able to process it because you're actually eating it mindfully and chewing it really, really well. And you're not going to have the emotional torment that you did before, where you go through that vicious cycle of guilt and then eating more because you feel guilty. Because you were conscious with it, you just get to enjoy it, and then you get to just move on with your day. And it's not this big emotional.
Yeah, because we're going to eat every day, and you're going to digest it within 24 hours. So it's not like it's super high risk to make that poor choice once or twice or whenever it feels right. But it's definitely, it takes quite a few steps to get to that place though. From someone who's binge eating regularly to getting to that place where they can make whatever choice they want. They can chew their food slow, and they can kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah, and a big key is to be patient with yourself, because it's not just going to transform overnight, right? It's a big process to learn about these things, and sometimes when you learn things about yourself, you don't want to know, right? So you have to be really patient with yourself, and really have self-love and appreciation and gratitude for I'm on a journey. It's a nutrition journey. It's a big deal.
And not all these steps are going to look like you're getting physical gains, because a lot of people, they go to the fitness industry because they want those gains. They want to see results physically. But this journey is a lot more difficult because you don't get that aesthetic reward at the end of the day. You get more of a feeling reward, which you can't. I mean, you can share with people, but it's you know what I mean. Like
you don't get that instant gratification
Yeah.
that we all crave.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. So I just really want to stress that when we're going through these 4 steps, or the steps towards overcoming binge eating and healing emotionally, or becoming more emotionally confident, that like it gets difficult because only you can reward yourself mentally. Only you can give yourself the good job. I did a good job, and even if you did a good job, you still were conscious that you weren't. So to be able to live with imperfection and actually fully experience how crappy you are sometimes, like it's a big job. But then at the end of the day, you get free.
Yes, and you deserve it to. You deserve to give yourself the chance to try.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. And so now we want to turn it over to you. So after watching this video, what are you going to do today in your life that's going to help you overcome binge eating or eating more than you have to? And what was one thing in the video that you thought was helpful and that you think you're going to implement? So you can let us know in the comment section below this video. And I really want to encourage everyone to get in touch with Raina, because she's a fun, loving personality. I had a hard time getting her to pick 4 steps because she doesn't like to box things in. She's definitely a free spirit, and so that's why it's always a pleasure to work with her. And you can get in touch with her through her website, loosenutrition.ca. And you have a Changemakers program. What's that about?
Changemakers is a 6-month intensive for women that know how to eat well but aren't doing it. So it's coaching and support for that.
Yeah, cool, very cool. Thanks a lot, Raina, for.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for helping all these, like more specifically women overcoming this, but people in general. And if you want to know more about the mentorship programs I offer, working with me one-on-one, you can go to my website, understandhealth.ca. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you in the comment section below. I'm sure Raina is going to love to see some comments from you.